In this video, I'm going to demonstrate how to upload, tag, and annotate your video for your clinical observation assignments. The procedures may be different from what you have done in the past, so please watch this video in its entirety. Once you are logged into Vosaic, you should have the option to add a new video in the upper left-hand corner. We are going to be using the new projects feature, which helps you not have to make as many selections when you upload your video. It should take you to a screen that looks like this, where you can name your video with your full name and perhaps some kind of label for your video. Next, you're going to select a project. Your supervisor should have already created some observation assignment links for you. If this is your first observation, then choose the observation number 1 option. Then you click Save and continue to upload, and you'll be taken to a screen where you have a few options. For most students, you are likely just going to upload a video that you have already recorded. You can either drag and drop a video from your desktop right into this area, or you can choose a video to upload by browsing through your files. I'm going to grab an old example of a math lesson that I have from an old semester and upload that. Keep in mind, the longer your video and the larger your video file is, the longer it's going to take to upload and to process. This would be the case with any video software you're going to use. Whether you're using YouTube or OneDrive, bigger files take more time. So have a little patience and get yourself into a solid internet connection area when you do your uploading. Once it's uploaded, it will switch to processing. As long as it's on this processing screen, you can actually close out of Vosaic and it will finish processing in the background or on the web. So you can actually close out of it at this point. If it's still uploading, don't close out of your window. If you find it's taking a while, maybe you want to upload and come back to this another day or a few hours later, do some other work in between. Right now, I can tell this is not fully processed because on my sidebar, it only is listed 0 minutes and 0 seconds as the length of the video. This will switch to the video length once it's finished being processed. Now I can tell my video has been processed because the main screen shows a clip of the video in the background, the title of my video, and this watch and mark up video has appeared. I can see the video length is 7 minutes and 5 seconds over here and 7 minutes and 5 seconds in the side column. Click Watch and mark up the video to begin. First, let me orient you to the main site for tagging and annotating your video. Your video will show up in the upper left-hand corner here. You will see there's 3 toggle buttons on the right-hand side. The middle one is the form, and that's what you will use to tag your video. You can see it's already pre-labeled for you with the different Danielson domains. Because many of your tags are likely to be in domain 3, we've broken that up into multiple buttons for you. If you also want to comment about something related to one of the other 3 domains, you're welcome to use those buttons as well. The other toggles up at the top, on the left you have the moments button. So once you have some tagged moments, they're going to show up here, and that's where you can add notes. And then on the right side is the transcript button. If you would like closed captioning or to see the transcript of the video that can then be edited, you can select a language here and then click Generate Transcript. It will use Amazon Web Services to generate an auto transcription, and it might take a little bit of time, so you have to come back to that later. Once the transcript has appeared though, you'll see a closed captioning button appear on your window. I'm going to go back to the form to show you how we can tag some things so it shows up down here, which is the last part, my timeline. Your timeline basically shows there's 1 row that corresponds with each button on the form. And then every time you make an annotation or you tag a moment, it's going to show up here into your timeline. I'm going to go ahead and lower the volume, it's already down here, and I'm going to push the play button. And my video is going to play while it progresses on the timeline. I'm going to show you what happens when you click the buttons over here. So right now my video is playing, my student is teaching, and I'm watching. Let's say I want to comment on something related to communicating with students. All I need to do is click this button once, and then I want you to watch the timeline to see what happens. So I click the button once, and you'll see a moment appeared here on my timeline. This is a difference from last semester or in previous semesters when you may have used Vosaic before. What this did was we created buttons that create lead and lag time. So it's going to capture some seconds. I think it's set for 10 seconds before you click and 10 seconds after you click, which means you don't have to click it once to turn it on and once to turn it off anymore. Right now you just click it one time and it plops this moment here on my timeline. This timeline is really important because this is the part that you're going to adjust the length of so that you are showing the whole moment you want to show to your supervisor. If you notice when I point at this, these yellow arrows appear on either side. If I did not capture enough time in this, I can click it to play just that moment that was captured. And if I need more time, I can click the yellow button and stretch it out to the length that I need. Now, occasionally, if your video is very long, when you click those buttons, you may not see the yellow arrows appear because the moment looks very small on the video. That means you just need to zoom in on your timeline. Don't use the trackpad on your laptop to do that. When I use the trackpad on my laptop to zoom in, like pinch out, you'll see it zooms the web page in, like on Google Chrome. So I'm going to zoom back out here. Instead, you need to use this bar at the bottom that says drag to zoom. If I drag it, it will zoom in on just the timeline part, so then I can point to that moment if it's hard to see. Something else happened when I clicked the button on the form. It jumped me over from the Form tab to the Moments tab. So what that did was it put a moment here on this Moments tab, and now I can add a note to type my annotation. So this is where I will type my story. What do I want to share and reflect on that moment to share with my supervisor? Once you type that, click Save Note, and it will be there and saved for you and for your supervisor to see. To get back to the form, you simply click back on that top toggle button and can continue watching your video. So again, as I'm watching here, let's say I'm asking a question here and I want to talk and comment a little bit about my questioning techniques. I just push it one time, it pops up on there, and if you notice, it captured a few seconds before and a few seconds afterwards to make sure by the time I notice what I wanted to comment on, it's capturing those moments before it too. So again, I can adjust the length to make sure I'm capturing what I want to capture, and then when I'm clicked on it, I can go ahead and add my note. This is my note. Now, for the sake of conversation, I am going to quickly tag a few more moments on this timeline. Let me zoom out for a second. And I'm going to make sure that we have a few moments tagged for each of these. So I'm going to go forward and add a few on 3A. Maybe I have another one on 3D here. To actually capture all the things that you want to say and see here, it's going to take multiple passes of your video. After you've watched the first time, because you know what you did when you taught, you can actually change the speed of your video, which will speed up the process for you to find those moments. So I can actually change that to 1.5 up to 2 times the video speed it'll just speed up the process for you if you do that. All right, so I have a few moments tagged. I'm going to go back to my moments tab here. And now I want to talk to you a little bit about what your supervisor is going to do. Your supervisor is probably not going to watch your whole video. They may choose to, but they're going to focus on the moments that you have highlighted in the story for them. So when they get to your video, they're going to click, let's say they want to focus on domain 3A. So when they click on that, there's this play all button here. What they're going to do is they're going to click that play all button and watch exactly what you have selected for them to watch and read what you wrote. So it's really important that you select the moments for them that are showcasing both your strengths and areas for improvement about your teaching. So make sure you have solid annotations here and that you've tagged ample moments within each of those domains for them to show evidence. That's what this video is. It's evidencing your performance. Once you are done tagging everything you want to tag on this form, maybe every lesson doesn't have tags in all the rows. There's no set number of tags to make. Really, it's you're telling a story and focusing on what you want to show them and what you want to evidence. So when you are finished for that particular video, As long as your notes are saved, all you need to do is click exit and your supervisor will be able to see what you tagged. There's one final tip I want to show you when watching and marking up the video. Sometimes you have a moment that you have tagged. Let's say I've tagged this moment right here and it has to do with the teacher's communication. Maybe though, it doesn't only have to do with the teacher's communication. Maybe you want to reflect on it through multiple lenses. Maybe you can talk about communication, but you also want to talk about domain 2 in the classroom environment. One way to tag that exact same moment on multiple timeline rows is to use the copy button. On your timeline, you'll see in the upper right-hand corner here, if I click that, it makes this purple bar appear. That puts me in duplication or copy mode. So if I want to take this same moment that I talked about with regards to communication and also talk about classroom environment, I can put on copy mode and just click and drag it, and it duplicates the same moment onto a new row. So now when I click on it, I can add a note under classroom environment here. This is a way to reflect through multiple lenses. You may find ways to experiment with this where you take the same moment that you've captured that you think is a really quality moment in your instruction and reflect on it on multiple timeline rows. Special education teacher candidates at ISU are evaluated on their teaching performance using the Danielson framework. The form you will use on Vosaic corresponds to the 4 Danielson domains to help you organize the story you want to tell. Your supervisor is only going to play back the moments you tag and annotate, so it's up to you to show evidence of meeting the indicators within these 4 domains. Video self-analysis is supported by research as an effective way to learn and grow your teaching practice. In your annotations, you should think about identifying what's important and try not to focus on irrelevant details. Also, make connections between what you see in your video and what you have learned about evidence-based practice and quality instruction throughout your program. Consider referencing something specific you learned in a course in your annotations. You may need to add some contextual knowledge to help your supervisor understand what is happening in the video. Finally, be forward-thinking and consider how you might improve your practice and what you could do next. This is an example of an annotation that is not specific enough and needs improvement. If you begin with a simple sentence like this, start thinking like your supervisor. Consider asking yourself some additional probing questions to get ideas of what else to write about. How did you decide what content to review in the anticipatory set? Was it appropriate for the lesson and the learners? How do you know? What went well? What didn't go well? How do you know? How did the students respond to the game? Were they engaged or bored? How do you know? How was my transition to this activity? Did I facilitate the materials and technologies well? What could I have done better? This is an example of a high-quality annotation because it is specific, it discusses teacher actions and student actions, it identifies both strengths and areas for improvement, and it demonstrates a solid understanding of evidence-based pedagogy. Caution: this video analysis observation is not meant to be a highlights reel that only showcases your best moments. You should use annotations to identify both strengths and areas for improvement. You can even think to use questions as part of your annotations that will guide some discourse between you and your supervisor. Tell your story. Your tags and annotations should help facilitate discussion between you and your supervisor at your debriefs.